Welcome to the UFO Traffic Report for Tuesday, October 4, 2016. First up, a Missouri witness at O'Fallon reported watching and photographing a sphere-shaped object that was hovering and slow-moving overhead at an undetermined altitude, according to testimony in case 79276. The reporting witness and his wife had a similar experience about 1 month ago, but were unable to capture the object with a camera. At 4:30 p.m. September 19, 2016, a similar object appeared in the sky, and the witness was able to take photos. Quote, "We were relaxing outside on our patio and I looked up," the witness stated. "There was a white dot in the sky. It was pretty much stationary. I asked my wife to get my camera. It had not moved, and I went back in to get my telephoto lens, a 55 to 300 millimeter zoom. I took several pictures of the object." The witness could not determine the object's size or altitude. Quote, "Not having anything for size reference, I could not determine the altitude that it was at. The sky was perfectly clear, and what struck me interesting was that there was no air traffic the whole time we were outside. We were outside for approximately 45 minutes. We went into the house to prepare dinner. I checked on it several times, and it was still visible. So the entire time it was directly overhead was probably an hour. I stopped looking at that time." O'Fallon is a city along Interstate 70 between Interstate 64 and Lake Street, St. Louis, and St. Peters in St. Charles County, Missouri, population 79,329. Missouri Chief Investigator Joe Palermo is investigating. The witness provided 5 images with the MUFON report, which was filed September 19. Next up, a New York witness at Colony reported watching and photographing 3 cigar-shaped UFOs that hovered overhead under the cloud cover before quickly disappearing, according to testimony in case 79390. The witness and a sister were driving along Central Avenue heading to Schenectady about 7:10 p.m. September 11, 2016, when the incident began. Quote, "My sister observed a brilliant light in the sky," the witness stated. "When I looked, the light was steady, didn't move for about 3 minutes. I quickly thought it was a UFO. The two decided to pull over for a better look." Quote, "It impacted us, and my sister parked the car, and I got my cell phone to take pictures, which are the ones attached. It looked like a cigar type. Then 2 more objects showed up." Quote, "Then the first UFO moved, and then 2 more showed up and were steady for about a minute, and then the 3 of them disappeared." The witness submitted 5 images with the MUFON report, which was filed September 25, 2016. Colony is a town in Albany County, New York, population 81,591. New York Chief Investigator Nicholas Vulgaris is investigating. Next up, a Florida witness at St. Augustine reported watching a disc-shaped UFO hovering in the night sky before moving out over the ocean, according to testimony in case 79397. The witness is a MUFON field investigator who was taking out the trash at 9:39 p.m. September 25, 2016, when the incident began. Quote, "As I watched my garage door go up, immediately in front of me was a UFO hovering in alignment over the house across the street, but further behind it," the witness stated. "See the house photo, which shows my neighbor's house, but in daylight." The witness immediately recognized the object as something unusual. Quote, "My first thought was, oh my God, a UFO. It was way too big for a plane. A second later, as the light strobed and reflected off the body, I realized the lights were a wrong color, too much blue for a plane, and it was far too big and too slow to be a plane, slower than even a slow helicopter. My vision is about 20/35 without my glasses, so I ran inside to get my glasses. It was hovering at about 30 degrees in elevation and 10 degrees north. The sky was mostly clear with only a few clouds. The cloud base was between 3,100 and 6,500 feet, according to the weather report. Winds were northeast at 8 miles per hour, temperature 78 degrees, humidity 78%. The witness described the object, quote, "It was disc-shaped but had sharp points on the top and bottom. There was a larger oval, very bright white light on the top point that blinked, not strobed. That light was so bright it hurt my eyes. Surrounding the object along its side were strobing, multicolored lights that strobed white, blue, green, yellow, red very quickly. They reflected off the body that seemed to be dull gray, but sometimes looked dull amber depending on the color of the light strobing at the moment. Its speed was quite slow, slower than a slow helicopter. The object also turned off its lights. Quote, twice all of its lights went out at once for about 2 seconds, and then the lights came back on as it hovered in the same place. Initially, it hovered for about 2 minutes over the house, and then it headed east for about 10 seconds, stopped for 2 to 3 seconds, headed back west for about 10 seconds, stopped for 2 to 3 seconds, and then headed southeast. It had significant sideways movement as described, but its altitude did not change much other than slight wobbling. The object also moved into a cloud at one point. Quote, once it went inside a cloud, the cloud lit up with the multicolored lights, and then it came out of the cloud, so its elevation was at least 3,100 feet, meaning it had to be pretty big to appear penny-sized at arm's length and 3,100 feet up. The object soon moved away. Quote, it moved slowly southeast of me, and I lost sight of it when it went behind some woods. From its height and distance, it should have been over the Atlantic Ocean at that point. From the direction it moved, it may have been over downtown St. Augustine or at St. Augustine Beach at some point, so I wonder if MUFON will get more reports. I watched it for a total of approximately 6 minutes. There were no animal or psychological effects and no missing time. St. Augustine is a city in northeastern Florida. The county seat is St. Johns County, population 13,679. MUFON Florida State Section Director Thomas Branham and field investigator Julie Taylor are investigating. Next up, a Vermont witness at St. Albans reported watching an object hover alongside her second-floor balcony that could not be identified, according to testimony in case 79413. The events occurred beginning about 7:15, September 15, 2016. Quote, I was at home with my 9-year-old daughter and my husband, the witness stated. My husband was in the shower and did not witness any of this event. I was in the kitchen getting dinner ready, and my daughter was in the living room watching TV. The living room has a sliding glass door that opens to our second-floor balcony. The witness first heard a noise outside. Quote, it sounded like there were a couple of motorcycles, maybe across the street in the sports complex parking lot, that were revving their engines or something. It was kind of loud and a little disruptive, but I didn't pay too much attention to it since there is a fair amount of traffic where we live. After a couple of minutes, my daughter said to me, hey, Mom, it's a helicopter. I said, oh, yeah? I really wasn't interested in stopping what I was doing to look at a helicopter, but I did it to make her happy. The witness went to see what her daughter was looking at. Quote, you can imagine my surprise when I went into the living room to look out the sliding glass door to see a helicopter in the sky, but instead saw an object hovering literally right next to the left corner post of our balcony. The object could not have been any more than 10 feet away from us, maximum. The witness quickly reacted. Quote, I became quite alarmed and gruffly told my daughter to get inside and away from the glass. I looked back over at the object, which continued to hover momentarily. It was solid black in the front. It did not have any propellers on it because the object was so close that the propellers would have been striking the building. Also, I did not feel any wind or breeze coming from the direction of the object. The glass door was open to my balcony, so I would have felt something coming through the screen. My hair did not even move. The witness then had a second look at the object. Quote, after telling my daughter to move away and then turning to look back at the object, it went from a hovering position to a straight-up vertical ascent, extremely fast. In this position, the object had an egg-shaped front with a long, thin part extending toward the back. Connected at the back, the top part, maybe 8 feet long, not sure. The extension part looked like it had some red color in it. The object ascended straight up and then started to turn like it was going to go upside down. The witness thought the object might crash. Quote, I became concerned that it was going to crash on the ground. Then a light army green colored helicopter, a real one, was traveling over our building coming from the south and headed north. As the green helicopter went overhead, the black and red object vanished, literally. My daughter also saw the object ascend, since she had only moved away from the window and did not go where I had wanted her to. Her daughter had more details to share. Quote, later, my daughter shared with me that she had seen the object arrive, starting at the east end of our balcony and stopping at the west end of it. Initially, I was pretty confused by what I had seen and thought the object was a helicopter, as my daughter had thought. It all happened so unexpectedly and quickly. The witness noticed other odd occurrences. Quote, also, I felt like my brain wasn't really processing my observations like it normally would. Also felt like I was a little bit trance-like, which I think is why it took me a few days to sort out what I actually saw, backed up by my daughter's observations, and come to terms with what happened. However, looking at all of the facts, there is no way the object could have been a helicopter. The daughter experienced problems after the incident. Quote, the next morning after the sighting of the object, my daughter woke in her bed with a bleeding nose. Also, she was very distressed, angry, agitated, and physically aggressive. She was 1.5 hours late for school because I could not get her to calm down. The witness explained her own feelings. Quote, my reactions and feelings were, initially, fear and concern. Why was someone in a helicopter hovering next to our balcony? Were we in danger? Then somewhat of a feeling of awe watching it ascend so quickly, and also from what it looked like. Then concern again that it was making unsafe maneuvers and might crash. Then extreme confusion. Initially, it seemed like the object had turned into a green helicopter heading north, but really it just vanished as the helicopter was going over. I have to say this has been an unsettling experience. The witness reports strange experiences locally from the past as well. Quote, the event happened after a series of sightings of strange lights further away, one of which had been on the ground across the road from us a few weeks prior. I am concerned that we could be confronted again. I just don't know what to expect at this point, trying not to dwell on it and focus on the blessings of each day, but experiencing a lot of anxiety and stress, to be quite honest. Also, maybe a little curious too. St. Albans is a town in Franklin County, Vermont, population 5999. MUFON Vermont State Director Ken Pfeiffer is investigating. And finally, tonight, a Pennsylvania witness at Slippery Rock reported watching and videotaping a sphere-shaped UFO the size of a basketball, according to testimony in case 79259. The witness is a student at Slippery Rock University who rolled out ball lightning, dust particles, and bugs. The event occurred beginning about 10:27 p.m., September 18, 2016. Quote, I was doing my homework when suddenly I noticed a bright dot out of the corner of my eye, followed by my neighbor's dog barking like crazy, the witness stated. Upon noticing these things, I then turned towards the window and saw a very bright, basketball-sized, white-silver, beautifully unique-shaped UFO or orb. This orb was like nothing I've ever seen or experienced before. The witness said the object appeared to be angelic. Quote, its shape was mainly spherical, but looked like it was a spherical shape, hard to comprehend, like a two-dimensional creature seeing a three-dimensional sphere. It's almost like it came from a higher dimensional plane, managed to somehow project to our plane, gave off a feeling of power and love, and was accompanied by a light humming sound. The witness described the object's path. Quote, the orb's travel path was linear, traveling from the woods behind the back parking lot of my building to a lamppost in the back parking lot. While traveling, it was pulsating. Again, I was absolutely astonished by this object. The duration of time it took the orb to travel from the woods to the lamppost was approximately 1 minute. When the orb neared the light post, it caused the lights to dim initially. When the lights brightened, the orb started to almost dance around them in some sort of way. The object appeared to be metallic and have some sort of electric and magnetic field around it. With that being said, it's almost like the orb was trying to charge itself by interacting its magnetic field against the electric field emitted by the light. The orb then became brighter. Quote, as the orb did this, it started to brighten. After staring at this orb, baffled, confused, and coming to the realization that I wasn't seeing things, I took up my phone and started recording it. After a couple of seconds of recording, I waved my hands to try to get its attention. Upon seeing me, the orb started to zigzag from one point in space to another instantly, and then suddenly vanished instantly. Also, the object appears to disappear traveling to the left. The witness included one video with the MUFON report, which was filed September 19, 2016. Pennsylvania State Regional Director Fred Saluga is investigating. You can read the complete news coverage on these stories, including the videos and photos I mentioned tonight, and much more at our website, MUFON.com. Use the newsroom link at the top of our homepage and choose UFO News. This is Roger Marsh. Please stop back next week for more news from the UFO Traffic Report.